So is the Samsung phone good enough to make videos for social? Or do you have to buy a new camera? Now the simple answer is yes. Your smartphone is good enough to make recordings. And actually, right now, I'm recording this entire video on my Samsung Galaxy S21. If you just started making videos for social, using your phone is a very good idea. Most phones these days can shoot video in 4K, and the newest flagships can also record in 8K video. Now, resolution is not the only parameter that's needed here, but it's really impressive what those phones can do. And for example, if you have an older Galaxy, like for instance an S8, also that one can record video in 4K. Now, there are a few settings, tips and tricks that we can do to make our Galaxies perform as good as possible. And we will go through them soon. But first, I want to share with you 3 reasons why you should stop procrastinating and just use your Galaxy phone to record your video. Now, the first reason why you should use your phone instead of buying a special camera is the ease of use. Now, if you have been looking into the GoPro lineup, or maybe the Sony ZV-1, or maybe the Canon M series, these cameras can also be very easy to use, like a phone is. But the main reason why beginners should really stay away from these cameras and use their phones as their recording device is reason number 2. It saves money. Now, of course, this tip only applies if you have a phone. Reason number 3 why you should just use your phone as recording video device is that you always carry it with you. Now let me know in the comments below, and be honest, are you watching this video on your Samsung phone? And if you do, there is nothing stopping you from just pointing, shooting, and pressing record. Now, having this mentality of ease of use is a very good one to have if you're just starting out, because quality will grow with experience. So hopefully, by now I have convinced you, or at least encouraged you to try it out and use your phone as a recording device. Now, let's get into the 5 settings, tips and tricks that can be used to get the best quality out of our Galaxy phones. So, tip number 1 is to always record in the highest resolution, usually above 2K, but rather in 4K if you can. All you need to do is to go into the settings of the video camera and set it to 4K. When it comes to frame rate, you can choose between 30 and 24 frames per second. It doesn't really matter that much. Now you might ask why you want to have 4K. Well, that comes if you want to have the ability to zoom in and zoom out without the image becoming pixelated. Then these 4Ks are good to have. This video that I'm recording now is actually done in 2K. Another reason for 4K is that you might want to add on image stabilization in post-production. That could require 4K image to get a good image out. Now, a power tip here is to be able to do slow motion in 4K. If you're doing that, you need to do a 4K recording using 60 frames per second. No one really recommends using the normal phone setting for slow motion, but to rather do 60 frames per second and then slow it down in post-production. But most of the time, 30 frames per second or 24 is the way to go. Tip number 2. That is to always use the back camera of your phone. Because the back camera has a bigger lens and lets in more light than the front camera does. So always try to use the back camera. Also, it is very easy to get distracted by the image on the front side of your phone. So it's better to have the back camera and use your eyes focused on the lens. That gives you a much better communication with your viewer. Now, if you want some examples what happens when I'm not looking at the lens, you can check out some of my older videos on this channel. I did it quite often back then. So if you want the highest quality and you want connection with your viewers, use the back lens on your phone. Now, if your phone has many lenses, which one should you use? Well, you should look at the one with the smallest f-stop. The smallest f-stop is the same as it letting in the most light. On a Galaxy S21, it is the wide-angle lens that has an f-stop of 1.8. You can also use an ultra-wide lens on an S21, but that one has an f-stop of 2.2. So I will only recommend that if you are outside or somewhere where the light is very good. Tip number 3 is to always use front-facing light. When I'm doing this, I'm using a window, so the light comes in from this side. If you're not using a window, there are cheap lights and softboxes to be bought, but you really don't need that, as long as you have a window that you can use. Something you should be mindful of is that you shouldn't have strong light coming from behind. That will make you disappear. Weak lights or just mood lights, that is okay. And you can see that quite a lot on YouTube videos. So try to get as good lighting as possible, since a phone has a very tiny lens and sensor. Phones need a lot of light. Tip number 4 is placement of your camera. And there are 2 parts here. The first one is that your phone should be aligned with your eyes. So there is a vertical straight line between your eyes and your phone. That will give the most flattering view of your face. The second thing is how you are placed in the image. What you should aim for is to have a bit of air on top of your head and your eyes in 1/3 from the top. So you should really try to avoid being in the exact middle of the frame or too low. Just instead try to aim for the upper third of this frame. So, tip number 5, and probably the most important one in this entire video. That is to focus on good audio. If you have a perfect video and image, but no one can hear what you're saying, people will not stick around and listen to what you have to say. But if your image is a bit grainy or out of tune, who cares if they can stick around and listen to what you have to say? Then there is a bigger chance that people are actually sticking around. Now, for this video, I'm using the Galaxy Buds Live to record the audio. I have them connected to my phone directly, just as making a phone call. So in your videos, you might choose to use different ways of recording your voice. You could have an earpiece connected by cable. You can use a USB microphone such as this one. You could have one of those lav mics that go through air. You can have a shotgun microphone or anything else that's available on the market. But whatever you choose to use, make sure that the listener experience is a good one. Make it easy for the viewer to listen to your voice. Now, if you got this far in this video, do enter a comment below with the secret password, Buds Live. I hope to see your creations later on, and see you in the next video.